So today we're going to talk about RC-20 Retro Color. It's a plugin that I've loved for a long time, and I think it's just fantastic for so many different uses. So basically, what is it? It's a creative effect plugin that easily recreates the warm feeling of vintage recording equipment, but it actually does a lot more than that. And the best way to demonstrate this is to show you how it sounds on certain types of tracks. So this is a track I've been working on for a while. It's a remix of Passion Fruit, and it goes like this.
Just like big fences, you got issues that I won't mention for now.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to focus on the pads. So we're going to bring the RC Retro 20 onto the pad track at the end here. By default, the preset is vinyl, but we're going to go ahead and select a couple of different pad presets. So for example, we can select one called Strange Space. It just makes everything sound like it's in space. And here's another one. This one's Sad Piano. It's used for piano, but it has a kind of a wobble sound to it like that. And then there's Pad Magic, which is basically made for pads. Another one called No More Boring Pads. You have 6 different settings here. One is noise, and you can just change them as you need, or you can just switch it off completely. Another one called Wobble. You've got distortion. Digital gives you that sort of digital distortion sound. Then you've got space, which is basically a reverb, and magnetic. So any of these combinations works really well. But then what you can do is you can actually go behind the hood and basically give yourself different types of options for all of these algorithms. So for example, with Wobble, you can change between wow and flutter. And the rate, you can change that. Stereo, non-stereo, you can just sort of change the mix there. With noise, you can also increase or decrease the noise. You've got a following and ducking noise. You've got flux. You've got different types of noise. So for example, you can use sort of tube noise. You can use a cassette tape. This is quite loud, but you can use this one here. There's also pink noise. So many different noise options. With distortion, you've got multiple distortion types. So you've got tube, crunch, heavy, one called air pressure. So yeah, you have loads there. You've got a focus mixing thing. You've got flux, digital. You've got something similar. You can do digital upscaling or downscaling. You can focus the frequencies. So you can just apply the digital to the higher frequencies, or if you want to lower frequencies, you can make it smooth. With the space preset, let's switch these other ones off so we can actually hear it. With the space preset, you've got how much decay you want. So that kind of cuts a lot of the tail off. Focus, frequency, yet again. All of these have, well, these last 3 have focus, frequency, stereo, mono, and the amount of pre-delay. And then finally magnetic here. You can go between wear and flutter. You can actually see how it looks here on the visual interface. And once again, mono stereo options and the amount of dropouts you have. So when you put them together, you can create some pretty incredible sounding combinations. You can obviously save here. You can save your preset, and then you can apply the actual amount in terms of magnitude to the track. You say you only want to apply just a little bit. This is basically the mix percentage. Once again, you've got the frequency, so you can cut frequency levels right in the bottom. So this is for the entire selection, not just for a specific selection there. And then you've got width, so you can make it wide, you can make it as thin as you want as well. And you've got gain and different tone options. Another input gain, and you've got EQ, which we've just talked about. So let's stop with that. We can stop with the pads now. We can actually just take this off now. And we're going to try now to hear how it sounds against a bass line. So let's go ahead and select the bass line here. So let's apply the retro color to the bass line. So this is what I tend to do. I just tend to go to the presets and then tweak the presets to get the sound that I want. And I'll just tell you the ones that I like. So you've got one called bass talk. So you've got this kind of talking bass sound. I guess that's why they call it that. Bass wonder. Bad batteries. Depth for plucks. So you've got quite a few choices here, which are all very interesting. It's got interesting phasing types of sounds. One called The Bass is Alive. Let's hear it in the track. Switch that noise off.
Between us, just like picket fences.
Okay, so you've got lots of different use cases for it. Finally, let's apply it to a drum beat. So we've got a drum in here. I think this is the one. Actually, this is just a sample, but sorry, this is just a snare, but we can definitely use it for this snare sound. So let's just bring it in here. It's got quite a lot of good snare preset options. You've got slap back like this. Once again, reduce the magnitude, sort of dial it in to get the sound you want. Snarify, which is a good one. Let's listen to it in the track again, and we'll just modify and tweak the levels.
Passionate from miles away. Passive with the things you say. Passing
Let's try this other one here.
I can't blame you, no.
So some really good sounding presets there. We can try a space preset. Once again, just kind of dial it back. Now, what I want to do now is show you how it sounds actually on the master, because there's a couple of really good use cases for the master that I think are worth getting into. So for starters, we can apply the retro color to the master, and there's two things that I can do on the master which are really interesting. One is there is a preset which I just like to start with. It's called Depth for Plucks. So this is actually a preset for plucks, but I actually find that it sounds really good. If you dial it down, it sounds really good on the master. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start with the song with the RC-20 unplugged, and then we're going to listen to it, and then going to plug it in, and then going to dial it back. And I think you'll notice that it does make a difference. This is basically saturation. Gives you that sort of deep level of saturation plus retro feel, if you know what I mean. So let's go ahead.
Just like picket fences.
And we're just going to put it on now.
You got issues that I won't mention for now, 'cause we're falling apart.
We just switch it off again. Hear the difference?
From miles away.
So the Depth for Plucks preset gives you the extra depth that you normally get from saturation. But for me, it's kind of a secret sauce on a lot of my songs. Now, the other use case is we'll just bring in another instance on the master, is there are 3 different magnitude transition presets. And these are really, really cool for applying transition into kind of the master of the track. And you need to use it with automation. So let's go ahead and the amount, the magnitude. So if you start really high, it will just sound washy. So let's just listen to it like this.
Just like picket fences. You got issues that
But we can dial it down.
I now, 'cause we're falling apart.
Okay, so it's basically a transition effect, but you need to use automation to get that sound.
Now, 'cause we're falling apart.
So what do you guys think of RC-20? I think it's just a great little utility tool, and I do use it pretty much in every song when I'm looking for a solution to a problem or I want to enhance something.